Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. Today is Sunday, August 30th, 2020. Welcome to another episode of Brother. I'm your host, Keon, Brother Keon. Again, welcome to the show brought to you by the Earth Mama Network. Subscribe to that and tag in as the Earth Mama Network actually hosts some great shows, spiritual conversations with sisters Sunday mornings. I know I'm saying it wrong. Her and Brother Barry got a show. I forget the name of it. It escaped me right now. But it's a lot going on in the Earth Mama Network. Tag in. Support the page. Support your peoples. Again, I'm your host, Brother Keon. Welcome back. It's a lot going on. A lot's been going on in the world as the world is ever changing, ever transitioning. Today's guest, I want to introduce Brother Harrison Anderson, um, longtime friend of mine, brother at this point. You know, blood or love make you family. We've known each other for well over 20 years. We've always been in good standing. We came up together, and he's got a lot going on right now, creating a lot, influencing a lot. We want to talk to him a little bit about that. Brother Harry Harrison,
What's up, brother?
from Peace King. How you?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to be on your show, man. I see you doing your thing, and normally, you out in the community helping other people. So I'm happy to see you got your own thing popping, brother. I appreciate, you know what I mean? I appreciate being on.
Thank you very much. That means a lot. And likewise yourself.
Hmm.
You got a lot going on, and I see you. And I just want to let you know I see you right now.
Yes, sir.
Especially in the age of where we know, I think it's important to flowers for the living, give each other flowers while we here.
Hmm.
Respect and praises and all that comes in those categories. While we here,
Hmm.
we recently lost Brother Chadwick
Bozeman,
Boseman.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and he's a young brother, man. He's our age, he's our peer. So
definitely.
I believe it's very important to flowers for the living and let you know I see you while we're here, and that's welcome. This is long overdue.
Yes, it
This is
is,
long
definitely.
overdue, And I want to apologize before we even begin because it's been a while that I've been wanting to reach out to you and get to you with this. But like I told you when we spoke, I wanted to do it respectfully. I didn't want to do it last minute and
Last
things of
minute,
that nature. And I
definitely.
think I gave you, enough heads up to
Hmm.
respect what you want for today. So thank you for joining us.
Definitely. You know, man, we go back a long time, man, and you are one of the brothers. When I look at a part of my childhood and how we grew up, you still was like grasping on to a knowledge of self that
Mm,
a lot of us wasn't necessarily thinking about at the time. So as I move about in my journey, mentally I'm always referencing you because that's one of the first instances where I seen a black man reference certain things about our
mm,
history and call me king. Like that's been a phrase of yours for an
mm,
extremely long time. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
to see it come to fruition, just as far as me understanding the meaning behind speaking highly of your brother, you know what I mean? So long
yeah.
time coming, man.
Thank you, thank you for that. And that's
Definitely.
our job, right? Each one teach one. If nothing else, one, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
How can we help each other evolve into better human beings, better men, better fathers, right? Better brothers.
Hmm.
Dynamics amongst us that we need to exercise. And I'm grateful that you saw that in your brother early, and here we are, still standing as men, as fathers, as comrades,
Hmm.
right? Here we are. So welcome to brother.
Yes,
Uh,
sir. Yes, sir.
all those out there looking, listening and looking and joining us today. Thank you for being with us. Again, this show right here, brother. It's a space for black men, right? For brothers to express our thoughts, our ideas, our feelings, our concerns. what's going on with us as personals we want to share, and professionally. This is a space for for black men. So this is what this is all about. This is our platform. Again, brother Harrison. I know I might slip and call you Harry a couple times because that's what
Okay,
we.
it's all good.
But yeah, with your grown man on, brother Harrison. What's popping with you, man? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, so my name is, for anybody who don't know me, I'm gonna make it seem like, I'm gonna go all the way back to the beginning. If anybody don't know me,
Hmm.
my name is Harrison. I grew up here in South Sacramento. Maybe about 3.5, 4 years ago, I started a platform called Melanated Fathers of America. Now, the reason for this platform is it's kind of based on my history. Growing up in the urban community, like a lot of us do, I was having sex frivolously, you know what I mean? So I have
Hmm.
4 kids by the age of 23 years old. So this journey of becoming a parent at such a young age, um, it grew me up a lot. It was like the antithesis of a lot of my experiences. It was like a mirror where I got to see exactly who I was as a person and how far I was coming along. But throughout the entire process, you know what I mean? I never strayed away from being present in my children's lives. Even though I had problems and I had a lot of things going on, I never strayed away from being present in their lives. And throughout that whole time, I wasn't really conscious of what goes on in our community to a degree, or conscious of our history, or any of these type of things, right? I was just a
Hmm.
young dude. I was just a rolling stone, kind of living the way that my brothers and my father kind of, not teaching me directly, but just watching how they moved. I was kind of moving the same way, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And as I came of age, I would say around my mid 20s, I began reading a lot up
Hmm.
until my mid 30s. So what would happen is, after I began reading about our history and what we've been through in systematic racism and all these different things, um, I kind of seen my role that I was playing and a part of that. Like,
Hmm.
just by real, like on some real shit, just by not respecting women, you know what I mean? By
Hmm.
not respecting my seed, by not taking my future seriously, by not thinking about, not thinking 15, 20 years down the line, instead of having that short-sighted way of thinking that a lot of us have in our community. So once I started reading a lot, getting into tune with who I was, I began to just reflect on, because again, even though I'm in my children's lives at this point, I have 5 children with 3 different women, right? So this
Hmm.
is 2 different households. This is um, 2 different trains of thought to a degree, 2 different communities, if you will. A household in
Hmm.
itself, in my opinion, is an actual community. Its own laws, its own rules, its own disciplinary factions. You see what I'm saying? So
Yes.
when you have to combine these things, and you haven't even established what type of person you're going to be, you haven't even established how you're going to rule your kingdom, but now you're in charge of all these things. It's eye opening, you know what I mean? And it grew me up
Yeah.
a lot. It grew me up a lot. So once I began reading, figuring out who I was, I think around the time Trayvon Martin got killed, I
Hmm.
was like, all right, I got to do something. Like, I got to figure out some way to make my imprint in this movement, because at that point I was realizing that it's several different ways to be a revolutionary. It's several different ways to be an empowering factor in your community, right? So I was like, you know what? I need to start something for fathers or for our community. And the only lens that I can speak through that would have been completely genuine is the lens of a father, because that's what I've been doing more than any other thing I've done in my life, longer than any other job I've had. I've been
Mm.
doing that job longer than anything else. So I said, okay, when I was 21, 22 years old, having these kids, being extremely irresponsible, not being able to control my emotions because I was raised by a mom. I had brothers, but ultimately a lot of my actions reflected how my mom acted, just to keep
Come
the
on.
shit real. You see what I'm saying?
Come
So
on.
I'm acting like my mom to a degree. So I'm thinking to myself now, okay, what does a 21, 22-year-old man need that may have a kid on the way, maybe in an urban community? What does he need to come to self-realization, right? So I was like, all right, let me build a platform where if a 22, 23-year-old young man looks at it, he'll be able to get different doses of what he needs to find out who he is. You feel what I'm saying? So for
Yeah.
me, that's history, that's different forms of knowledge, that's knowing what's going on in the world. So creating Melanated Fathers of America, the website, which is melanatedfathers.com, That's what you find there. You find news stories about our culture. You find articles about parenting. You find a book of the month every month. You find um, um, different articles about relationships and things like that. I have my podcast on there as well. There's a
Mhm.
history matters section where every week I release another article about a place in about a particular place in our history, a time period, a person. You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it's really it's basic knowledge as well. Some things I go a little deeper, but I want it to be the spark where someone looks at it and you read it and you say, okay, now I want to do more research. Now I want to do my research because I think ultimately, if you're going to learn something, you have to invest in it yourself as far as your time and your energy or figuring out what you're actually looking at. So I created the website so that it's a couple different parts to it. I'm I'm a person who, growing up, I had an extremely bad stuttering problem, right? So what got me out of that is reading. So I became like a real big proponent of reading. So a
Mhm.
part of the website is always going to have articles and things where you can read because I think it's important for us to read. It's important for us to make our children read. Another part of the movement is Melanated Fathers TV, where on there I do my podcast. I have history segments where I talk about different things in history. That's to give people a visual who may not want to read or don't have time to read. So I give them a visual with my voice sometimes, but a visual nonetheless. And then
Yeah.
there's the community aspect of Melanated Fathers of America, where so far I do an annual Father's Day game every year.
Yeah.
We feed people for Thanksgiving. Um, uh, uh, um, um, Black History Month, I do something where I kind of delve deep into our real history. I just
Mhm.
did a feeding or lunch basically for everybody suffering from the COVID-19 thing. When that first started, we gave out
Yep.
like 1,500 lunches. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So at this point in my life, Keon, I think the most beautiful thing about my evolution and my experience is I feel like, excuse me, I finally found out why I'm here. Like to have an extreme sense of purpose, right? So every
Yeah.
day, this is what I'm doing. Every day, this is what I'm thinking about. So every day, I'm plugging into new and innovative ways to help Black people, specifically fathers, specifically young fathers, be well aware of who they are so we can begin to like start our families the correct way by having a
Yeah.
full grasp on the system that we live in. You see what I'm saying?
I
Because if you
do.
listen, you see what I'm saying? Because if you listen to some Republicans and different political pundits, they'll make it sound like our homes being broken is the reason why we acting all this shit. But this is an extremely convoluted argument that has a lot of moving pieces to it, right? So
Mhm.
I'm because I understand our history, I don't blame our people. I understand who's been the puppet master, so to speak. But at the end of the day, you are accountable for you. You see what I'm saying? So there are
Yep.
things you can do on your own to empower your family and move forward. So that's about it, bro. I created the platform to empower my community, and it's doing wonders. Like the impact that I'm able to have on people, me
Yeah.
being uh like historically, like through my life, I'm more of an introverted personality. Meaning I
Yeah.
don't want to talk
Yeah.
or be all
Yeah.
out in the open. You
I
see what I'm
know.
saying?
Yeah. But that's what
So
I love
to
about your evolution. That's what I love about your evolution. And watching you. I don't want to cut you off. Continue.
No, and so basically what I was saying, so that's a big part of it. And being that I was a young man who stuttered and didn't necessarily have the ability to put together a sentence the way I wanted to, and it affected my confidence and all these different things. You know what I mean? So a lot of what I'm doing right now is therapeutic, man. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
is kind of helping me grow as a person. Now, of course, I'm getting acclaim from it, and people are watching what I'm doing, and I'm figuring out ways to make money from it. But all that's secondary. The biggest thing is figuring out my place in this world, and once I figure that out, spend every day moving towards that goal. And that's pretty much empowering Black people. Looking at there's 40 something million Black people in America, looking at where we stand economically, looking at the schools in the neighborhood that I grew up in look the same, looking at how a lot of young men is still killing themselves, not realizing there's a bigger war going on right now. You see what I'm saying? So looking
Mhm.
at COVID, looking at Trump, looking at all these men getting killed, to me, that's just the universe telling me to keep going. You see, I was already headed in that direction. You
Yeah.
see, I was already
Yeah.
going in that direction. So the universe is telling me you got a long way to go. Keep on going, boy. Y'all got some work to do. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
So
yes,
man,
you
I'm just
do.
trying to
Yes,
help
you
my
do.
people, bro.
and I'm smiling big, bro, because um, for one, your story is important. Your story is important, and your transparency and your evolution. I'm
Mm-hmm.
watching you, and I'm seeing you, and I'm seeing you grow. And like you said, when you mentioned that you were an introvert, we was always cool, we was always chill, we was always in the family setting, but your personality was always more introverted. And
Mm-hmm.
I see you pouring out right now. I see you beaming. I see you found your voice, and I see you in it. And that's what I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you,
I
and I love
appreciate
it.
that.
And that you have taken you're finding your place and have found your place and then continue to build
Mm-hmm.
on that. That is important. Um, and that you get to show up, like you said. So even start melanated fathers, and one of the strengths about that is um, one of your strengths is showing up in your authentic space, right? You said, "What do I know about? What's one thing that I can stand on?" How has
Mm-hmm.
that helped you? Um, and the thing is, right now, you said a whole bunch. You kind of covered a little bit of everything I want to talk to. So I'm gonna backtrack and go
Okay.
in.
Okay.
So how has that, man? Being able to build your platform for melanated fathers, um, how is that changing you? How is it? Continue, just elaborate a little bit more on how that's evolving you as a person.
Well, that's a great question, bro. It's just making me dig deeper um, into like getting a contextual understanding of our struggle, because every day I'm looking up different people from history to write about. I'm looking up
Mhm,
different news stories that I can post. I'm thinking of different articles I can write about parenting. So constantly having these things on my mind, um, it's just evolving my way of thinking and making me wanting to go into different schools of thought, making me wanting to dig deeper into um, certain categories just so I can be more well informed.
mhm,
It's making me want to make sure, because I've always been careful with my words for the most part, but it's making sure that when I speak, that I'm completely clear on what I mean and what my intentions are, because I don't want to have to backtrack. See, I don't want to have to apologize. See, like my being my biggest inspiration in this type of work are unapologetic Black men. Now, it's a lot of men talking that speak up for us, some with
mhm.
different intentions or whatever the case, but my biggest inspiration are men who are unapologetic and say what they mean and mean what they say. So I don't want to have to take nothing back. So I'm going to research as much as I feel I need to about a topic that I'm talking about. I'm going to
Yeah,
speak from my heart. I'm not going to be
yeah,
disrespectful.
right.
I'm not going to keep men name in my mouth. I'm not going to use my platform to slander, because I could be
Mhm,
further along if I chose to talk about other men, just to be honest, and what I
mhm.
don't like about what I see somebody doing, but that's not my lane. You feel what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it's just making me more experienced in what I'm doing too. I'm 4 years into this and I see my evolution. You feel me? I see
yes.
how more comfortable I am speaking. So all that just tells me is I just need to keep on going.
I think it's important that you mention that too, because part of the thing is when you have a platform and it is a speaking platform, it's important that you have something to say, that you are able to back up what you need to say, and have cite your points. And but it gets tricky, right? Because in a lot of radio, men could turn to chatty patty, you know what I mean, and turn into some real, bitch shit. And that's not
Yeah,
what it's all
yeah.
about. I mean, if we're gonna have
Hmm.
a conversation, we should be able to build, we should be able to inform, we should be able to grow from that. And I think this platform, it does get tricky because it does allow men to turn into chatty patties and doing all types of bullshit when, like you
Hmm.
said, this is a platform. And if done right, and when
Hmm.
done right, what I mean, you'd be surprised, who you're reaching and how you're able to reach through to the people. So the fact that you spoke on that was very important to me because I had a thought about that earlier on, and just the idea of podcasting and
Hmm.
the windows that had opened. So you motherfucker run out of something to talk about. They start talking about all kinds of bullshit. You know what I mean? Next thing
See,
you know, it's a whole gossip section of the show, and that's not what we're here for, right?
not at all, not
So
at all.
what you?
And no, no, go ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead.
And I want to make sure, because I was telling my son this, like I'm not gonna say nothing about nobody that I wouldn't say in their face, whether
Mm,
in private or even in front of this microphone. Unfortunately, I see a lot of people that do YouTube, that do all type of talking shows now, because podcasting and things of that nature is kind of like the new rapping, where everybody started
Right.
rapping at one time. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lot
Yeah.
of people coming in there, and people sometimes will do anything to get popping. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So they
Right.
sit in front of this camera like nobody can touch them. See? And I'm not of that illusion. We're a little older. So we
Yeah.
know out there is where it's real. You see what I'm
Come on.
saying? I'm not gonna sit in front of this camera and say something and then see you in my energy. Nah. So I'm a pride myself on keeping the same energy, whether
That's
I'm on
right.
camera or whether I see you in person. And that way everything is always on the up and up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just be a man. You know, it's
That's it.
manhood. It's code to this shit.
Yeah. It's
But
supposed
a
to
lot of
be.
people don't. Supposed to be. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be. Um, you mentioned that you were a young father.
Mm-hmm.
You said 4 children by the time you were 23.
Yes.
Being a father of all male, and it's all males, right? You
Yep.
got all sons. All sons. That's what I know. What was that like? And being an early father then, and being an early father to specifically black men, black boys and men right now. How has that experience been for you?
Mm. So it's been like I was saying a little earlier, it's been like the biggest learning experience in my life, right? So
Mhm.
when I first decided, when I had 4 kids at 23, this is by
Mhm.
two different women.
Right.
When I first decided that I wasn't going to be in a relationship with these women and I needed to be on my own, you feel me? So I got my
Mhm.
own apartment. Me and my best friend got our apartment. So what I decided was, okay, I'm not going to be in a relationship with these women, so I can't do the thing where I visit my kids by stopping by their house and chilling over there, then leaving when I'm ready. I can't do that no more because we not rocking like that. So I got my own spot, and I would get all 4 of my kids and bring them to my apartment. Now, doing this, the idea was this is 4 kids by two different women. I've already created, even at this age, I realized I've already created somewhat of an unbalanced structure because it's
Mhm.
different households involved, 3 total. You see what I'm saying?
Come on.
So I was like, all right, I need to make sure these kids know each other. I need to make sure they're around each other. So the idea was to make sure my boys were as close as possible. And during this process, bro, it was difficult. Like putting 4 kids to sleep. Now, at the time, this
Mhm.
was like 2 7-year-olds, 2 7-year-olds, 7-year-old and a 6-year-old, and a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. So think
Come
about
on.
so
Come
think
on.
about this, right? So
This
I
is
have to put 4 kids to sleep. I gotta
yeah.
make dinner for 4 kids. I gotta
Yeah.
bathe 4 kids, right? So
Yeah.
there was times, bro, and I'll share this with you. There was times where I would lock myself in my bathroom and just get on my knees and pray. Because
Mm.
at this time, my mother died when I was 19. My father died when I was 8. Much before that, I don't really have. My grandmother died when I was 12. So by this time, all my maternal figures are out of my life, right? So it's just me and my brothers to a degree. So I don't really have um, certain types of support. So I just kind of relied on my spirit. I kind of relied on my instinct. You see what I'm saying? So I would lock
Yeah.
myself in the bathroom, like I just need to regroup for a few minutes because they running around, they moving, they shaking. You see what I'm saying? That's
Mm.
kind of when I realized I had to be like a no nonsense parent. That's when my parenting skills kind of kicked in, where I realized what I can't allow them to do, how stern my voice have to be. I have to mean what I say. I can't just yell something and not follow through on it. I have to make sure that they're clean people because it's 4 of us, it's 5 of us, and I got to get you up for school in the morning. I got to do all these things. So I almost created like a like a little military structure in my house almost, right? To the point where Keon, I could bring all 4 of my boys to the store. I could bring all 4 of my boys to the store, and they wasn't gonna touch nothing. I ain't holding nobody hand. Ain't nobody holding nobody hand.
Uh-huh.
We just walking. People looking at us like, why are they not? Because in my house, and I learned this early. I got some books early on around that time too, just trying to figure out how to be a father. So I got some books, and I was realizing, okay, in my home, I gotta treat it like I said, like it's its own little country. I gotta teach them everything here, so when we go outside, it'll be smooth sailing. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
So it was
Mm.
tough, but it grew me up, bro.
It grew. So while you was growing them, they really grew you up.
Definitely.
And I think that's what parenting is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Motherhood, fatherhood, right? when it's the first time, it's everybody's time for the first time. And you could have four children, but you have four different children for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever those numbers are. So it is a thing where, and they don't come to hold us back. I think when we understand parenting properly, children never come in this world to burden you. They can't, right? They can only help you. They should only help you do better, become better, want more. They really like that battery in your back, and they do grow us up. How old are your sons now?
So my two oldest sons are 22 years old because my two oldest sons are 6 weeks apart, not
Hmm.
twins, 6 weeks apart. They're 22 years old. They'll be 23 this year. I have a 19-year-old. I
Hmm.
have a 17-year-old, and my
Right.
youngest son is 13.
All right. Fatherhood now.
Mm-hmm. How is it now?
Fatherhood now.
Now
How? No, yeah.
it's uh funny you say that. So now it's the transition of dealing with men, quote unquote, because they're
Mm,
22, two 22-year-olds, a 19-year-old. These are uh, these are young men who are men, quote unquote, but I'm dealing
right.
with their level of responsibility, how to uh, guide instead of discipline, right? Because I
Right.
can't whoop you.
You gotta respect their manhood.
I
You
can't
can't.
whoop you.
You gotta respect their manhood. Yeah.
See? So how do I
Hmm.
get you to do what I need you to do? I can't use my old tactics. You see what I'm saying? So I gotta
That's it.
respect you to a degree, right? So it's a transition, bro, and it has been eye opening because as I start this platform, I can't sit and act like I've had the best relationship with my kids throughout this whole process. Like I've
Right.
always been there, but because of some of my shortcomings, because of some of
Right.
my mistakes, because of me not knowing really who I was as a black
Thank
man in
you.
this country primarily,
Thank you.
I did some things that I pay for still to this day. Like talking to them, dealing with them, I'm not as harsh as I could be because part of some of their dysfunctions are rooted in my dysfunctions. And I'm
I
evolved
love you,
enough
brother.
not to take it out on them. See?
I love you,
Because I could
brother.
see that and say, so what?
Mm.
You grown. I raised you. I did my best. Shut up. No, no, no,
Mm.
no, 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 no.
You ain't copping out.
I'm looking at you like, damn, I did that. So
Mm.
knowing I did it, I can't approach them the same way. See? I can't because I understand that look, I wasn't with your mom. I didn't try hard enough to give you a two-parent household. I was a young man and wasn't a man myself, and I'm growing and you watching me grow. So I'm gonna give you a little rope, bro. But
Hmm.
we got a great relationship enough so you're gonna respect me and I'm
That's
gonna
right.
give you the information you need, but we're gonna evolve together. I'm never gonna be like pressing down on you should be now. My youngest son, and I'll tell you this, my youngest son lives with me, has lived with me his whole life, me and his mom. I see the difference. See,
Ah.
I sometimes it hurts, but I see the
Mm.
difference with having kids that I go get on the weekends. I get 3 days a week, whatever the case may be. Me and their mother are on the same page sometimes not, opposed to being in a situation where you have a you and a woman who love each other and you loved each other for several years. Then you brought a baby into the world. I look back sometimes, Keon, like, that's how you supposed to do it, huh? So
Mm.
that's how, and people can say whatever they want to say. In our community, we do this whole baby mama thing, baby mama over here, baby mama. None of that's okay. Let's keep it real. None of that's okay. The biggest goal is you being in the home with your kid. If you didn't try hard to do that, that's a small failure, family. I'm not gonna
It,
lie to you.
you gotta
We
be
need to
able to
try
hold that
hard
L. You gotta hold that. You gotta
a
hold
little
that. Like you
bit.
said.
Now you can
Yeah.
recover and make
Hmm.
improvements. And it can be a
Yeah.
beautiful thing, but we need to
Yeah.
slow down and protect
Come
our
on.
seeds and our family and our future. You see what I'm saying? So
You.
fatherhood now is looking back on everything and being thankful that I started Melanated Fathers of America because I can infuse everything I didn't do into content, into shows,
Come
into
on.
interviews. You
Come
see what I'm
on.
saying?
Come on. Come on. And that's what I'm saying. You get to show up as your authentic self. And
Mm-hmm.
there's that contribution, man. We can't have we don't have enough of those.
Mm-hmm.
We can't even have too much of those, brothers like yourself willing to be that transparent that has
Mm-hmm.
grown. So I want to transition to melanated fathers because and it's like double dutch because we over here, but it ties right back in.
Mm-hmm.
Being the father, and before we go any further, for those who've made comments, I'm sorry. I've been looking, but I've really been into the conversation, so I haven't missed. If I haven't been interacting with the comments, please continue to comment, and I'll be sure to keep my eye on that screen and holler back at you. So Harry, being a father right now, we look at the times we in, right? We know nothing has changed. Um, with how they murder and brutalize black bodies here in America. Uh, as recent as Jacob Blake.
Mm-hmm.
We still in the summer. The beginning of the summer was George Floyd. Countless names, countless names. Um, being the father of five men and young men to be, um, and even escaping some of the shit we escaped coming up, and had to deal with. Some things we had to confront, some things we narrowly escaped just due to surroundings. What are some of your fears surrounded by your sons and their lives and their existence and their bodies?
My fears specifically for my sons is because of course just them being black in America in young, there's a part of me that's a little nervous because of the entrapments they can find themselves in. And once you get involved with the system to a certain degree, they don't let your ass go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But for my sons in particular, like for instance, my two oldest boys, they were raised primarily with their mothers in the south side of Sacramento. So they were exposed to certain pieces of urban life, and I'm gonna say this the best way I can. They were exposed to certain pieces of urban life that entice them. See, so my biggest fear is my sons understanding the big picture because young
Mm,
people do stupid things. Young people
right.
make mistakes. Young people go down the wrong road. Sometimes my biggest fear is that they go too far left because you can always
Mm,
come back, but going too far left. You see what I'm saying? So my job as a father of grown men is just to remind them of things because honestly, the
hmm,
tools they need to navigate this primarily should have been given to them between the ages of like 4 and 16, which I think I did. Like me beginning to read, I don't know who I was. That happened at a good time. So my boys all got a clear understanding of my perspective about life and about this
yeah.
world. And I've witnessed it rub off on them. You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So, I talk to them about stuff that go on and what's going on in the world. So my biggest fear is they don't get caught in one of these traps, man. And I need to have a refreshed conversation with them about how to interact when dealing with police. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah,
that's one thing I may have to go in with them a little more than I have because all of them have like more of a revolutionary spirit, and I appreciate that. But like I
yeah,
keep telling black folks, in my opinion, Keon, when interacting with the cops, if you don't have a gun too, you behind enemy lines, so you got to conduct yourself in a particular way so you can get
mm,
home, so you can get where you
mm,
need to be. You know what I mean? So
mm.
I'm scared for my babies, but I'm scared for all of our babies, man.
That's right.
You know?
Right. That's right. Um, with the temperature of Sacramento and the bullshit that be happening in the streets, do you worry about your sons in any of those capacities? With the shit that young people keeping up with amongst themselves. Do
I do.
you say more or one or the other, or just in that capacity?
No, I do. I do. And the cold part about it is, like both of my older sons, they are um young smart men who have friends that are affiliated with different parts of town. So I'm having
Right.
conversations with them. You feel me?
Mhm,
But just to be
mhm,
completely transparent, me and my older son haven't really been seeing eye to eye lately. So
mhm,
I haven't been able to get in his ear as much because I'm gonna keep it real, bro. Like my platform, Keon, is about fatherhood. So
mhm.
everything that's going on with me in fatherhood, I
Yeah.
got to use that because I'm not the only one that go through these
Mm,
things with my kids. I'm never gonna act like I got it all figured out. I just know
right.
what way I need to go. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yes, I do. To answer your question, yes. The climate in Sacramento is crazier than when we were younger. Uh,
It is.
uh, how they resort to violence has changed a little bit. There's always been violence, but how they
Right.
resort to violence, the
And the
chemical
level of
imbalance,
violence. Yeah.
hmm hmm
You
the
go.
chemical imbalance with a lot of these drugs and stuff that they using, that's playing a part in what we see. You know what I mean? So I'm always a little worried about what's going on out there with them. You know?
I do. I do. Um, and if you don't mind me going a little bit into your professional life, right, and your workspace,
hmm
on your 24/7, a little bit about that because even that plays a part into our fatherhood and even what's going on in the community amongst our black boys.
hmm
I've known you personally and dealt with you personally for, like I said, over 20 something years.
hmm
Um, Fortunately, I've dealt with you professionally in some manner as well. What is it that you do?
So I do a few things. My partner
Hmm.
Ginger, she owns Thompson Rose Chapel Funeral Home in Sacramento.
Hmm. Right.
So and that is a passion of hers. Like being able to
Okay.
buy that funeral home, being able to help our community. Like she's really community driven as well. Sometimes even more so than me. Like she be on some Malcolm X shit at times. You know what I mean? I got to calm her
Hmm.
down at times. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
she has a passion about our community, and the funeral home is her passion. But Mr. Thompson, the black man who opened that funeral home, he was the first funeral director in Sacramento, and he
Okay.
became a funeral director because there was no places that the white establishments wouldn't bury black people in Sacramento. So he
Hmm.
created that establishment for that reason. Now, in his day, in the 50s and 60s, he used it as a funeral home. He used it as a place to have parties. He
Hmm.
allowed the Sacramento chapter of the Black Panthers to be on top of the roof and survey the
Hmm.
neighborhoods when need be. So what we
Hmm.
said, we was like, all right, I'm doing my stuff with Melanated Fathers of America. Let's find a way to infuse what I do with what she does. So we began figuring out ways to almost use the funeral home as a community center to a degree. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Dope.
I've been having. No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I say
Oh
that's
yeah,
dope.
so I've been having, so we have events there, and
Hmm.
different things like that, and of course at the actual funeral home, I help out with some of the marketing. I help out with filming the funerals anywhere I can stick in there and help her. Like I said, it's her dream, man, but I'm fully committed to being by her side through the whole process. So
Right.
I'm there to kind of help her out. You feel what I'm saying?
I,
But yeah,
I
no, go ahead.
I bring that up to say I'm thanking for putting the scope on that. But as we were talking about was things that's going on in our communities, the
Mm-hmm.
amount of your young black bodies that pass through there. You know,
Mm,
speaking to the alarming rate of what's popping right here in our backyard. So that's why I want to bring that up. Um,
yeah.
but that's interesting that you said the original dude, Mr. Thompson, used to let the Panthers come upstairs and survey and do that. That's an interesting fact, less
Mm-hmm.
known. And so I participated as well as attended some of the things that you do in the community coming out of that space as well. And I did want to speak to that because again, passing out, 1,500 lunches, um, community viewings, discussions that I've been a part of, that I've seen you put on in the community. Excuse me, in the community. I just wanted to speak to that, a little bit and big you up on that.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you
Definitely,
for that.
definitely.
Yeah. So with Melanated Fathers now we have .com, we have TV, we have podcast,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just Melanated Fathers, the stamp, the
Mm-hmm.
brand. Um, Tell us about that. Where you are with that. Where do you plan on going, growing?
Mm-hmm.
New things coming up. Maybe a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. You can kind of go into your podcast right now. Just tell us a little bit about melanatedfathers.com.
Definitely. So with melanatedfathers.com, I want to continue to produce quality content. I want to continue to just challenge myself to widen the scope of the type of information that I cover. Pretty soon here, I'm going to try to recruit people to help me write articles and different things like that. So I think it's time for me to start to create like a team around myself. So with the website, I'm going to make sure I keep building and trying to produce quality content because reading is important to me. You know what I mean? So I want to make
Yeah.
sure I present content that people can read. With Melanated Fathers TV, I want to create more shows on the YouTube page, just to, like I said, reflect range and be as diverse as possible. With the community efforts, just bring it more into a nonprofit stance. Because right now, like everything comes out of my pocket, but bring more to a nonprofit stance where I can get some grants or loans. And on top of the funeral home, we have a apartment, and I want to take that apartment and turn it into something like a community center where young men can come in there and learn different trades, or come in there and talk if they need to, use the
Yeah.
computer if they need to. So, Keon, bro, it's just about continuing to evolve, and I see myself moving in that direction. I just have to keep going, keep planning, prioritizing things, because I'm a brother that's used to working for a living, man. So I'm used to having a 9 to 5, getting off from work, doing whatever I'm doing, getting up, going back to work. In my position now, I'm pretty much planning my day out. You see, so
Mhm.
it's just important for me to prioritize things so I can make sure I keep going in the right direction. But I'm gonna get there.
Oh, most definitely. You know your direction, you have vision, and you're on path.
Hmm.
You're on path. So, shout outs to that. Shout outs to you. And yeah, so I've been with you when we conducted, I think it was one of your early interviews. I
Yeah,
was I
yeah.
was a guest on
Hmm.
the show, man. And I was surprised. I was amazed to see that you had that whole space up there.
Hmm.
And you told me what your direction was and what your plan was and your vision was for
Hmm.
that space. And I have no doubt that's going to come into fruition. I have no doubt. Um, During this time with this whole COVID, we've had, the world for the most part on pause.
Hmm.
Uh, what didn't stop was on slowdown. What didn't slow down came to a complete halt. Within that, we've had uh, George Floyd down in Minnesota, Minneapolis,
Hmm.
and that shook the world, right? Globally, for how ugly we know how ugly white inferiority mentality is,
Hmm.
how gruesome it is. We know how violent it is. It's been consistent for the last some 100 years, but some people just got that shake this year, right? 2020. And I say globally because a lot of people stood with us in solidarity. You see
Hmm.
that die down. Nonetheless, you still hear, his name is still alive. People still. We
Yeah.
have Breonna Taylor,
Yes.
Sister Sleep, got it in her sleep.
Hmm.
Um, Maud Arbery. These are just within these last couple of months of the summer. And now again we have Jacob Blake. Um, I got to thinking about all and calling all these names, and it kind of straightened my thought. Um, but to the magnitude of that, what do you think is our position? What do we need to do? Now, this is where we get into your personal views, your thoughts, your opinions,
Yeah.
and just the whole subject matter. Where we at with it, man? What's your take? What do we need to do? Are we doing the right thing? If we not doing nothing, what's your
I
personal
think
energy right now?
just like you said, I see a lot of black people who otherwise I've never really seen concerned with black issues. So I think that's encouraging to see people who didn't really realize the severity of where we stand in this country to now pretty much start giving a fuck. I think COVID, and my brother Jermaine Morris gave me this point, and it's just really, really prevalent to me. I think COVID slowed down the world and got rid of our distractions. So
Mhm,
we were able to look directly at the injustice. So a
mhm.
lot of people had to see it for the first time. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
just like my boy Nipsey said, man, I think this is a marathon, bro. So everybody who is sharing things on social media and outrage right now, I encourage everybody to just start digging deep into your community to figure out how you can help, to figure out how you can be of service. Because to me, of course, from a political standpoint, you can say that we need to get proper people in position to affect change and to change some of these laws. and that could happen. Like, I'm not hopeful, but I'm not doubtful. I mean, I'm
Mm.
kind of even keel when it comes to the political process. I'm aware of how much is necessary, but I'm also aware of how much bullshit is infused into it, right? So
Come on.
I lean more onto the, okay, let me just talk to these 40 million black people and see what we can do. And what we can do, in my opinion, it's actually simple. A lot of us may think it's more difficult than it is, but to me, it's simple. For one, start loving each other. It
Come
may
on.
sound simple, but
Come
you look at
on.
every black person like he's your actual brother. Not
Come
in,
on.
I don't care if he's in Wisconsin, he's in Minnesota, he's in China. You black, we brothers. Boom. First off, so that's the first thing. We
Main
brothers.
ingredient.
Two, support whatever somebody's doing. Somebody black sell clothes, they sell shirts, they sell toilet paper, buy it. Now, don't buy it and hold them to this unrealistic ass expectation that they're not gonna fuck up sometime. If you buy something from them and you don't like the product, hit them on the low. Hey, can you change this real quick? Don't blast them out. That's why I'm not fucking with nobody black no more, because y'all blah, blah, blah. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Remember, because
Yeah.
you love them. So if you love them, you're
Right.
gonna approach them the correct way and say, hey, boom, 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 change this, do this differently. Three, read. Research, figure out where you come from, your personal history with your family, and the history of this country. Don't let nobody tell you what happened. I'm telling you, if you do the research yourself, it's invigorating. That shit does something
Information.
to your soul to read it
That
yourself.
the beginning of
See?
everybody's evolution, man, is information. It's a seed. Come on. Keep going.
So you read, you begin create a healthy mental diet. What does that mean? Everybody want to talk about being a vegan and about eating the right food, exercising, staying in shape. Yeah, that's all great, and you need that to live. But what about your mind? What about your mind, right? What are you feeding your mind? Are you always watching reality shows? Are you always watching sports? Are you always watching things that aren't relative to the your culture moving forward? So you got to create a balanced diet of TV and entertainment that's fun, but then you got to be able to dig deep and do things that challenge your way of thinking. You see what I'm saying? So you got
I
to
do.
do these mental. You got to do this on your own. This is like a personal journey. The next thing we need to do is figure out the correct way to vote. Like, if we're gonna vote for a president, if we're gonna vote for elected officials, how about we get all of our money together and create our own party? We're the independent party. We're the Black American Party. We're whatever party, whatever that may
If
be.
we, if
No,
we
no.
gonna play that game,
Hold on. I gotta back up. Before we create our own political party, first we gotta figure out, what do we do to the traitor? What do we do to the coon? What do we do with the black man who doesn't mean us any good? He knows real history, he knows the reality of things, but because of a paycheck, or because of his standing in society, or because of fear, or whatever it
come,
may be, he doesn't stand with us. My opinion, we got to get rid of him. In Haiti, how we're able to win that war in 1804, one of the main elements, you know who they found first before they killed anybody white? You know who they killed first, family? They found all the coons first, man, and got rid of them. It
my
was like,
nigga,
boom. Now we ain't got no
brother.
traitors. Hey, it's been hundreds upon hundreds of slave revolts that's happened in the United States. All of them have been thwarted by somebody going to tell.
Mm.
Somebody wanting that butter biscuit. They used to give them hot biscuits as a reward. That's not a joke. You see what I'm saying? So first we get rid of them, boom. Then we go to the political stance and we say,
Come
okay,
on, man.
independent party, this who he is. We got this amount of money. Who we voting for? Cool. Here go this 40 million. But look, you got to do X, Y, Z. If you don't do X, Y, Z, we taking that block. You see what I'm saying? That's why the police unions are so effective, family. They run in a pack. It's 350,000 of them, something like that. They running in a pack, family. They say, okay, politician, you want this vote? We come in as a pack, and you gonna do what we. Just giving your vote ain't gonna move the needle. We need to figure out a different way, because that's the biggest thing. I see a lot of shit going on in society, and sometimes I see people doing things out of tradition, things that have traditionally haven't
Mm.
worked.
Come on.
So what are we doing? See, so sometimes it's like, I'm not sure what direction, but we can't keep doing what we've been doing. just to
I
feel
think I'm gonna
better.
follow the melanated father's plan. I like the melanated father's plan. It's stuff. That's something I say, and I get you too, man. Because I say the same thing. Oftentimes, I do. I sway in between hopeful and hopelessness when I really,
Hmm.
our people. My love for
Hmm.
our people, but also is through critical lens and the idea of accountability, man. You got to call shit where it lands. And um, sometimes I feel like I know we can, but I'm not sure we will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I know we can, but
Hmm.
sometimes I don't even think we will,
Yeah.
and that leaves a brother in a funny space sometimes, man. It
I
really
feel,
really does.
I feel you, man. That's why I think I try to look at our ancestors and can you still hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I try to look at our ancestors and those who fought for us until they died, like
Come on.
really fought for us until they died. And I say
Yeah.
to my like, especially being around the funeral home, bro, being around
Yeah.
that environment, it crystallizes your idea of death, and you say, okay, I don't know when, but this is gonna be my fate one day too, right? So my whole
Yeah.
thought would be, okay, I'm 40 years old now. How am I going to live the rest of the years of my life? And to me, I got to fight for
Gotta
something.
fight. Fight.
I fight for something. So I said,
Come on.
okay, hey, let me just buckle down. This may be a long ride, but let me just buckle down, man. I'm doing this till it ain't no more. You see, and
And that's
that has provided me a lot of comfort, Keon, knowing
it
that.
does. Because I also don't believe it. I believe even if you know you finna get your ass beat, you finna go, you little on me, you finna fight this 10-foot bully. And you know the bully gonna beat your ass. You don't lay there like this, like beat my ass. You go out fighting. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I'm in between those two spaces, I believe fighting till your very last breath. And that's the warrior in me. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about giving up. It's just like
Yeah,
sometimes you look at this fight, what's in front of us.
I
400
feel
years
you.
later,
Yeah,
bro. 400 years later, we still singing and marching and a lot of shits. That don't leave a lot of hope sometimes because my hope lies in it gets real dark. Okay, guess what? If it take this long for what I know we need and what we shall overcome in liberation, then I think the idea of whatever it is going to take, the capacity of whatever it's going to take, is going to be very dark and gloomy. It's going to be like some shit we ain't never seen before. Some shit we read about that oh damn, they went through that shit in history. It's gonna
yeah,
take that shit in our time for us to finally wake up because it's 400 years later, bro. And if we ain't got it figured out by now, the devil don't change his. He might change his role, but it's still a devil. Why the fuck we ain't
yeah.
figured this shit out yet?
You know what I mean?
Honestly, why haven't we figured this out yet? We still divided. Garvey said, individualism,
That, yeah.
individualism, you know, and the brother he's a truth sayer. He was a prophet to to a very high degree,
Hmm.
and the idea of individualism and where we are now, sometimes I think we come too far to go back. Now I don't know if you can get people to get the I, me, my's out of their spirit. You know what I mean? There's no we, there's no us. The I,
Yeah.
me, and my gonna be the death of us, man. It's gonna be the
You
death
know what I
of
mean?
us. We
And I think that one of the biggest problems, like you were saying too, is the fraction of black society that think white ice is colder. And I think the '60s, like when they killed all them brothers,
yeah.
like we need to be honest. When they killed all them brothers, when they killed Malcolm, when they killed Martin, when they killed Medgar, look, they went on a rash of killing important black people. I
Come
think
on.
that put a in
Fair
our
hand.
in our that hasn't really been rebuilt yet because
Yeah.
nobody want to take that road no more. Nobody want to go that far. It seems like when we
Nobody
get
want to
something
die.
that's
Everybody.
huh?
Nah, go ahead. Go
What'd you
ahead.
say?
Nobody really want to. I said nobody want to get a blood. No, but we see what happened. It kind of calm a nigga down. Like, ooh, yeah, but no, I don't. I gotta what? you know, nobody want to die because we know the pressure. Like I said, white inferior mentality in this structure is very dangerous. They're brutal and they're
Hmm.
violent. and they made examples. Sometimes like they broke the spirit of Africans in America, which is always their goal. Which is always their goal. You know. Um.
I can't hear
Oh,
you,
I
bro.
wasn't saying nothing. I thought we had a blank minute. We had.
Hello.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yep.
Okay. So we got 6 minutes in closing,
Yeah.
man. Just a time, just looking at the time, marking the time. Anything else you want to go, we
Hmm.
can stay here. Before we go, I want you to make sure we get that in though. Tell the people where they can find you. Um,
Okay.
your .coms, your .orgs. Tell them all that.
Yeah. So you can find the website at melanatedfathers.com. Melanatedfathers.com. That's where you can find all the content, everything that I've been telling you about. We're always putting up a lot of good, fresh, interesting information on the website. Subscribe to my YouTube page, which is Melanated Fathers TV on YouTube. That's Melanated Fathers TV on YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram, which is Melanated Fathers 100. Um, yeah, Facebook is Melanated Fathers of America. You know what I mean? So I just appreciate rocking out with you, my bro. You know what I mean? And I know it's a long fight, and I know sometimes it seems hopeful, but we have to do it, man, because a lot of people in our community, until we can wake more people up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And until we can get more people to understand the seriousness of what's going on, we got a long fight ahead of us, man. But giving up is something that we can't do because this beast ain't gonna give up. You know what I mean?
Come on.
So we got to do something, and I think hopefully all of these things that are taking place, just to be hopeful about it, is creating a level of unity in all of us that's going to be long lasting. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm hoping we end up in that place.
Right on. I want to rewind all the way back to the beginning. Normally when I open up, I like to ask, just in lieu of mental health, mental awareness, I like to open up and check. And I didn't check in with you, so I want to do that in closing before we go. Um, I like to ask, how's a brother feeling, right? Mentally,
Mm.
emotionally. How are you? Where's your wellness? Wellness check, brother. And pardon me
I
for not
feel
doing this in
good.
the beginning.
No, it's all good, fam. I feel good, man. I'm trying to watch what I eat, try to work out as much as I can, try to read as much as I can. Like I was saying earlier, just keep a balanced mental diet. Don't take in social media too much. Like I don't take in too much negativity on a day-to-day basis, so I can keep my energy as neutral as I need it to be at times. You feel what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it's a balanced day to day, man.
It's good. I noticed you said you've been eating right, you've been exercising. We just lost brother Chadwick. Um Again, our peer.
Yeah.
43 years old, colon cancer. By the time they caught it was 2016, it was stage 3. So that means prior to
Hmm.
2016, whether it was stage 2 and or stage 1, we don't know how fast that thing developed. Um,
Hmm.
but if he died at 43 and he's been battling that for 40 years, I mean, pardon me, 4 years, that we know publicly, and they caught it at the stage. Basically, I say it was younger, doing the mental math when he contracted that.
Yes.
So just speaking to
Uh-huh.
health, wellness, I want to tell the brothers out there, if you're watching, man, especially by the time they say you get age 40, you got to go get your prostate and your colon checked out. Your prostate and your colon. For the most part, those are treatable and or preventable, as I understand. Um,
Hmm.
and it takes us out, black men. One out of the two, I forgot which one it is higher. The numbers and percentage of black men who contracted is higher. But nonetheless, both of them are a man disease that takes a lot of men out. So any brothers that's watching right now, and I'm glad you're saying you eating right, you
I'm
exercising, those
trying.
things. Hmm? Is it
Yeah.
try?
I said I'm.
I get it.
I'm conscious
I
eating
get
for
it.
it.
I get it.
Always.
But it's important, man. It's important. Even that to begin a regimen. My lady, she's a
Hmm.
pro at it, so she keeps me inspired. And this month was actually my month to dedicate. That was one of my things for Black August. Some people say, "Hey, brother, you looking kind of Like, word, I've been doing my little shit at the crib, so this month. But it's important, y'all. Please get checked out. Please eat right, exercise, get your diet, take care of ourselves. Um, Moment of silence for Chadwick Boseman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sipping a little something. So in the African tradition, it's water. In the African American tradition, it's what we do. And I want to pour something out for the ancestor. Job
Yes,
well
sir.
done. Wakanda forever,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right.
forever,
Yeah. Yes.
forever.
Word.
Rising power to the ancestor. Um, Bro, I love you. Thank you very much for setting time aside to build with your brother today.
No problem, man. Yeah, man. I love you too, bro.
melanatedfathers.com.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing me on, family.
Absolutely, absolutely. Good night, family.
Yes,
Brother,
you have a
brother
good
to
one.
brother on Mama Healing Network, melanatedfathers.com.
Yes, sir.